Today, we're going to look at NBA players before the glow up. These guys have become NBA All-Stars, NBA champions, and future Hall of Famers. Do you recognize this 14-year-old with a black eye? Chet Holmgren always had that dog in him. As an unranked freshman in Minnesota, you could tell he was going to grow into something special. Him and Wembanyama are going to go down to the wire for Rookie of the Year. Jalen Green was putting on a show at the Elite 100, and 6 months later, he went nuts at the 2017 Tarkanian Classic. Not many 15-year-olds could do this. Easily one of the best high school dunkers in recent history. Victor Wembanyama has been taking the league by storm. I'll be the first to tell you, I had no idea he would be able to adapt to the NBA speed this quickly. But at 7'4" and an 8-foot wingspan, you can make up for lack of speed. Just 16 years old, he was cooking Rudy Gobert. Luka Doncic was just 16 years old when he made his pro debut. He became the youngest player to ever play for Real Madrid. At only 24, he's become one of the faces of the NBA. Tyrese Maxey is one of the best young players in the league. He's already averaging just under 27 points, and it seems like he's not slowing down. But we saw him first when he was a sophomore in high school. Before Austin Reeves was LeBron's right-hand man, he attended a Class 2A high school in Newark, Arkansas. A lot of people didn't know he was like that. He scored 73 points in a single game in high school. Nikola Jokic has been the best player in the league for 3 years now. Y'all can debate in comments, but in the last 3 years, he won 2 MVPs and a championship. He should have his respect by now. But this is when he played in the 2014 Hoop Summit. Malik Monk just sent the Warriors home in the in-season tournament. But when he was 16, he was one of the most ferocious dunkers we have ever seen. You know what they say, life comes at you fast. Back in high school, Tyrese Halliburton got slept on like a pull-out couch. Because he didn't play for a shoe brand team, he went unranked. And now he's one of the best point guards in the NBA. Michael Porter Jr. may be the most talented hooper we have ever seen in high school. At 6'10", he played like a guard and had so much athleticism. In April of 2015, we caught one game on him and knew he was the truth. The rest is history. As a 6'7" 8th grader, Bol Bol had all the potential. His length and ability to hit shots made him a scary matchup. These are some clips from one of our first times going quote-unquote viral. He had some of the wildest plays when he was on KC Run GMC. A lot of people forget that Ja Morant was overlooked in high school. He was always bouncy, but once he got to Murray State, he put it all together. These clips are from his senior year of high school in Sumter, South Carolina. Jason Tatum, to this day, is one of the best players we have ever covered. He was the star for the St. Louis Eagles EYBL team. But check this out. Funny story about Tatum. He was the first person I have ever filmed. You never know who these kids are going to end up becoming. He was only in 7th grade at the time. Anthony Davis was terrorizing opponents when he was only 17 years old. Could you imagine leaving biology and having to guard this guy? Rankings can be tough, but ESPN got this one right. He was number 1 in the 2011 class. We first saw Tyler Herro in November of 2015 at the Pangos Midwest camp. He could score with the best of them. This was way before the Jack Harlow song. The number 1 pick in the 2022 NBA draft, Paolo Banchero, dominated while playing up when he was just 15. And don't look now, but the Magic are 3rd in the East with a 12-5 record. As a freshman, Cade Cunningham had a smooth game. He used his smarts to get the buckets, but by the time he was a sophomore, he was a man amongst boys. Detroit Pistons are struggling, but it is not Cade's fault. The number 1 pick has been showing why he's the number 1 pick. Before he was one of the biggest stars in the NBA, Devin Booker was a kid from Grand Rapids, Michigan. After his freshman year, he moved south and played for the Alabama Challenge. Here are a few clips where he dropped a 40 ball in front of Kentucky's Coach Calipari. De'Aaron Swipe-Up Fox is a blur out there. This is footage from his 8th grade year. He was always the fastest player on the court then, and it's crazy to think that he's the fastest on the court now in the NBA. I know people see Zion Williamson wearing his famous Spartanburg Day uniform, so they think that he's known. But trust me, he wasn't quite yet. This was November of his junior year in high school. We were one of the first people to cover him that year. 15-year-old Josh Christopher was a problem. We first saw him at the Las Vegas Classic playing alongside Shareef O'Neal, so you know Shaq had to be the coach. J-Gup never let the stars faze him. I had to throw in this clip when we saw him the next time. What was Buddy looking for? At age 15, Jalen Suggs was already making a name for himself in his home state of Minnesota. He obviously got better and better and became the Russell Westbrook of high school basketball. And y'all don't put disrespect on Russell Westbrook's name. I'm talking about his athleticism and his ability to get a triple-double. The 2023 Defensive Player of the Year has always been a presence down low. Jaren Jackson Jr. was dominating in 2016. We even caught some clips with him in front of his future coach, Tom Izzo. I could tell early that Asar and Amen were going to be special. I was filming another game when I looked over and seen these boys putting on a show. I quickly switched games, and they looked like aliens out there. They didn't really say a lot, but they knew exactly where each other was gonna be. And no surprise, Asar has been one of the best rookies in the league. And Amen has been banged up, but he will make a good recovery. We covered Ben Simmons shortly after he came to the States from Australia. Who said Ben can't shoot? Cash. Trae Young, coming out of high school, was the 23rd ranked player in the 2017 class. For the longest, people said he was too small to make an impact at the next level. 8 years later, Ice Trae continues to prove them wrong. Enjoy some highlights from the summer of 2015. Our first video on Anthony Edwards was him obliterating a defender in New York. And as y'all know, he continued to do that through the rest of high school, and still today for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before D'Angelo Russell was Before D'Angelo was on the Lakers, he was the man for each one teach one. He went off in Orlando at the 2013 AAU Super Showcase. Scotty Barnes has always been a savage. We first saw him as a sophomore at the City of Palms. He's averaging 19 points and 9 rebounds so far for the Toronto Raptors. I'm like that! Yeah, this is my city! Before being one of the best players on the Cleveland Cavaliers, Darius Garland was seen going crazy at the Made Hoops warm-up. He was absolutely cooking people in front of 20,000 fans. Brandon Ingram was one of the first hoopers that fit the baby KD comparisons. Our first time seeing him was the summer of 2013. The Top 100 camp was a great place for him to show how good he was versus top competition. LaMelo Ball was on the Chino Hills team that went undefeated. Some people say this was the greatest high school team of all time. And this is when the Ball brothers began to get all their fame. Obviously, I have to throw Lonzo Ball in there. People forget, just because he's injured right now, that he wasn't a dog before he went down. He had already gotten some fame by this point, but I figured I should throw him in the video. Only the OG Courtside fans seen our first look at Fred VanVleet. Our name was still Iowa Elite, and this was back in 2011 where it all began. Markelle Fultz was somebody we loved to cover long before he was the #1 pick in the NBA draft. He's an absolute bucket out of the DMV, and he played point guard for the DC Blue Devils. We remember when Bam Adebayo went by Idrisse. He keeps getting better and better. He has already been to an NBA Finals and another Conference Finals appearance with the Miami Heat. Canadian-born point guard Jamal Murray was the 7th overall pick in the 2016 draft. Before he was a Denver Nugget and NBA champion, he was out there headhunting for Orangeville Prep. Jaylen Brown is now one of the biggest stars in the NBA. We first seen Jalen in the summer of 2013. And that very next summer, he was putting up 50 balls for game elite in the Adidas circuit. Jalen Brunson was a dominant Chicago area point guard playing AAU for Mac Irvin Fire and Stevenson High School. Back then, I had no idea he would be signing a max contract and becoming the face of the New York Knicks. You can tell this is a long time ago by how big Andrew Wiggins' shorts are. This is the same time that he came onto the American basketball scene from Canada. The NBA champion was dominating with CIA bounce. Calling a young checker phone. Mo Bamba is now a center for the Philadelphia 76ers. We first seen him in the summer of 2015 where he was destroying everyone in the paint. Chris and Keegan Murray did a complete 180. Once they left Cedar Rapids Prairie, they went to DME Prep Academy down in Florida. They hit the weights hard and continued to develop at the University of Iowa. Keegan went out a year early, and he seems to be what Sacramento Kings needed to get over the hump. Chris Murray was selected 23rd in the draft and hasn't found as much success on the floor, but that could definitely change. Donovan Mitchell had one of the toughest tomahawks in the 2015 class. He really broke out the summer of 2014 in Philadelphia when he played in the Reebok Breakout Classic. At the time, not many people knew how special he was. Before Dylan Brooks became the quote-unquote villain of the NBA, he played for Canada's AAU team CIA Bounce. He actually matched up with Ben Simmons and Each One Teach One at the 2014 Peach Jam. Before winning a championship at Duke, Tyus Jones was known to be one of the best point guards in the country. He played all 4 years at Apple Valley in Minnesota. The 27-year-old is now the starting point guard for the Washington Wizards. His younger brother, Trey, followed in his footsteps. He also went to Duke and is the point guard for the San Antonio Spurs. The Rockets got Jabari Smith with a number 3 pick in the draft last year, and he has not disappointed. You can tell he's getting better and better, and at 6'11", if he can continue to shoot the 3, he's going to be a problem. NBA champion Jordan Poole has always played with that creativity. We saw him when he was just 14 years old at the John Lucas camp. AJ Green is a sharpshooter from Cedar Falls, Iowa. He is one of the best hoopers to ever come out of the state. We covered him when he was just a freshman. Canada-born RJ Barrett transferred to Mount Bird Academy as a freshman in high school and quickly took his game to another level. He became the #1 player in the country, and he put on a show at the Bass Pro Tournament of Champions. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ended up being ranked 35th in the 2017 class, but we could tell he was going to be better than that ranking. Now, he's putting on a clinic for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Back in Greece, Giannis Antetokounmpo was a perimeter threat. He wasn't scared to shoot and knock down threes. But after putting 50 pounds of muscle on in the NBA, the 3-ball was no longer needed. Cam Thomas has always been a bucket, but he's looking like he's going to be one of the next great scorers. He's already averaging 27 for the Brooklyn Nets. Kevon Looney is one of the most underappreciated hoopers in the NBA. The 3-time NBA champion played more like Kevin Durant in high school, but took over the role as an enforcer in the NBA. Orlando Magic Cole Anthony is coming off of a 25-point performance against the Wizards, and his success in the NBA has come as no surprise. He's been doing this since he was 14. Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma burst onto the scene in the summer of 2013. He's one of the biggest steals of the 2017 draft, and he wasn't even ranked in ESPN's 2014 rankings. We first seen DeJounte Murray in the summer of 2014. Now, he's one of the best players on the Atlanta Hawks. DeJounte was one of the smoothest in the class of 2015. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.